Welcome to the complete story of Final Fantasy XVI, Echoes of the Fallen, the first DLC drop for Final Fantasy XVI. However, keep in mind that if you're here for the complete story of the base game, then that's another video. But don't worry, we've already made that one, so you can go check it out right now if you haven't already. And if you like what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon, so we can make even more videos like this. You too can become a Choco Bro. You still there? Good. Now let's dive into a new Final Fantasy XVI adventure. An adventure that gives us a better glimpse into the Fallen's long-lost civilization and fleshes out the game's lore even more. I'm Peter from Birds of Play, and in this video I hope you'll join me as we revisit the complete story of Echoes of the Fallen. It might not be as long as the base game, but there is still plenty to tell, so I hope you'll stay with us all the way to the end. Just before traveling to Origin for the ultimate showdown with Ultima, Clive speaks with Karen at the hideaway as she seems somewhat perturbed. To explain her worries, Karen then shows Clive a crystal shard with an unfamiliar purple hue, unlike any they have seen before. Perplexed by the very existence of such shards, Karen explains that they are called dusk crystals on account of their color and that they are capable of magic, just like their brighter, shinier cousins. Difference is, they don't last as long and crumble away after only a few uses. The matter came to Karen's attention as crystal traders began complaining that someone was flooding the market with dodgy goods. As Karen and Clive continue to discuss the issue, they are interrupted by a tremor as the ground suddenly begins to shake ominously and without warning. Meanwhile, on the Imperial fringes, 3 cloaked men mine dusk shards under the cover of darkness, a feeble lantern providing them what little illumination they have. As the tremors begin, the lantern breaks, and they are forced to rely on a dusk crystal to light their way, the shard breaking as soon as it has served its purpose. As something stirs, the 3 men are frightened by a mysterious sound, whose source is the remnants of a long-lost civilization, the Echoes of the Fallen. Back at the hideaway, Clive and Karen ponder as to the origins of the crystals, as they cannot have originated from any Mothercrystal they know of, not only because of their hue, but also because they have destroyed them all. This leads them to believe they might have missed one. Together they enlist the aid of Joshua and Jill, and pay a visit to Hippocrates in order to pile their knowledge together to uncover the mystery of the lusterless shards. Joshua wonders whether Ultima's primogenesis may have conjured forth a new Mothercrystal, especially considering Ultima was their original architect. Hippocrates believes there may very well be a connection, but doubts that they are of Ultima's making, since they are so palpably inferior. Instead, Hippocrates hypothesizes that the crystals were not of Ultima's making, but rather humanity's. More specifically, they are fallen forebears, whose wonders continue to litter the land. According to legend, the Fallen had challenged the gods in order to win their power, so perhaps these crystals were the tools they had crafted in order to wage their war. But despite their great achievements, Joshua and Hippocrates urged them not to forget that the same allegedly enlightened souls also forged great and terrible weapons called the Iconoclastes, from which the icons derive their name, and turned them against each other in the Magitech War, whose victors grew confident enough to supplant the gods on high, leading to their downfall. Hippocrates believes that the dusk shards are the product of a long-slumbering Magitech Mothercrystal, a remnant from long ago, stirred to life by the etheric upheaval brought about by Ultima. To get to the bottom of this mystery, Clive proposes that they track down whoever's selling the crystals in order to locate their source. Together with Joshua and Jill, Clive travels to Port Isolde, where they run into the crystal peddlers running from one of the guards. Once the peddlers are out of sight, the guard tells Clive and the others that dusk shards have been banned in Port Isolde, and that they've been searching the pack of every trader who's darkened their gates ever since. Bidding the guard farewell, Clive and the others chase after the peddlers, but before they can catch up to them, they are disturbed by yet another tremor, a foreboding reminder that something is amiss. Carrying on with their pursuit, they meet up with some merchants who are able to point them in the right direction towards the Old Hill docks. There, the crystal peddlers continue to be hunted by less than satisfied customers. Clive and the others finally catch up to them, but they are not inclined to talk. Instead, their leader, Famiel, sends a group of bandits their way, telling them that Clive and the others are the untrustworthy merchants they have been looking for, the crystal in Clive's hand being the proof. As the peddlers run off once more, Clive, Joshua and Jill make short work with the bandits before running after them. This time heading north, making for the Three Reeds marshlands. As they are finally able to corner the peddlers, Famiel tries to get on their good side, but Clive will have none of it. Instead, Clive insists that they tell them the source of the crystals. Before they can discuss it any further, however, yet another tremor shakes the land, and this time a fallen ruin known as the Sagespire comes to life. As the gigantic structure activates, pillars of light ascend high into the air, visible from every direction. The peddlers seem just as surprised as Clive and the others, although they do seem to be somewhat familiar with the tower. But before Clive can press Famiel for answers, they are interrupted by an Akashic monster, once again giving the swindlers the opportunity to make themselves scarce. Catching their breath, Famiel's two underlings, Halak and Manek, whimper that they just want to go home, but Famiel refuses to surrender the source of the dust crystals. Halak and Manek are afraid of the light emanating from the tower, but Famiel reassures them that thanks to the light, it'll be much easier to mine the crystals now, as opposed to when they were mining in total darkness. Clive and the others head to Eastpool and make their approach to the spire from the dim. There they encounter goblins using fallen relics as weapons, a rather unique and troubling sight. Since they are in blighted territory, Clive and the others must rely on steel alone to defeat them, since they can't activate their magic in the Deadlands. But even then, they best the goblins with relative ease. Afterwards, they happen upon the secret entrance to the tower and go inside. Inside the Sagespire, the structure itself comes alive and detects their intrusion as a form of unauthorized biometrics, a strange phrase from a long bygone age. As a result, the tower initializes a security scan and engages safety protocols to ward them off. Clive and the others proceed with caution and discover dust crystals everywhere. They are then reunited with the crystal peddlers, as they are being threatened by one of the spire's purple-hued monstrosities. The structure speaks once more, this time engaging its core defense systems and initiating sterilization lockdown, prompting the monster to attack the peddlers. Before the monster can strike them down, however, Clive and the others intervene, telling the peddlers to get out of there and leave the fighting to them. Although formidable, they manage to lay the monster low. Subsequently, the spire recognizes that one of its security sentinels has gone offline. In response, it initiates the emergency core relocation protocol, thus transporting the heart of the mysterious Mothercrystal to a different location to keep it out of the hands of the intruders. Afterwards, they speak to the peddlers once more, and this time, Famiel is more open to speaking with them. Clive asks him what they know about the tower, and he confesses that this is in fact not their first time there. Fact is, his people have been coming to this place for centuries, to harvest crystals, since they had no other recourse. He says that the ruins spoke to his people in the past and told them that the Fallen were using the place to create a Mothercrystal, thus proving Hippocrates' theory that the Fallen did indeed acquire God's ability to craft crystals, although their quality is questionable and just short of divine. Still, they were better than nothing, so Famiel and his people have been using them. However, as the skies darkened, the purple crystals started growing in abundance, so they could now procure enough for themselves and enough to sell for a profit, especially since the other Mothercrystals were no more. Be that as it may, Clive and the others recognized that no matter where it came from, this man-made Mothercrystal still serves Ultima's ends, and reaffirmed their conviction to destroy it, despite Famiel's objections. Climbing the tower, they happen upon beasts suspended in cages, some of which are released to serve as a part of the spire's defenses. Otherwise, their function is to have their living essence turned into crystals, providing the necessary ingredients for crystal crafting. On their way to the top, Clive and the others are forced to do battle with yet more of the spire's security sentinels, each one more formidable than the next. As they face them, they recognize that the quantity of ether needed to animate an entire army of such beasts would be unfathomable. So it is little wonder that the Fallen attempted to manufacture their own crystals. Despite the opposition, however, it appears that the tower is herding them, allowing them to ascend its height via its lifts, as opposed to blocking their path. As they finally reach the crystal, the iconoclastic defense system Omega-1 is initialized, calling forth Omega, a man-made icon of immense power. Omega-1's first course of action is to protect the crystal, so it contains the core of the crystal within itself, before turning its attention to the intruders. Undeterred, the heroes face Omega in battle, now being closer to their target than ever before, even though they must first vanquish their foe to claim it. As they do battle with Omega, the tower assesses their battle prowess and recalculates the threat level, subsequently rerouting power to Omega-1 so that it might fend off the intruders, turning it into Omega Ionios. As a result, Omega becomes capable of godlike abilities, worthy of any true icon, pushing the party to its absolute limits. But even in the face of such overwhelming power, Clive and the others managed to clutch victory from the jaws of defeat, immobilizing the dreaded war machine and claiming their prize. As the tower extracts the crystal core from Omega, Clive prepares to destroy the Mothercrystal once and for all. Before he can finish the job, however, Famiel comes barging into the room. Famiel begs Clive to reconsider, since the crystal's destruction would lead to the downfall of his ancient tribe, one of the first to lose their lands to the Blight, forcing them to roam the Twins as a nation without a Mothercrystal, a people without a blessing. However, although Clive is not unsympathetic to their plight, he explains that the Mothercrystal sucked the land dry as a leech might draw blood from a beast. He explains that it was the Mothercrystals that robbed Famiel's people of their home in the first place, and now that the tower has awakened, the Empire is sure to come knocking, even if it means trampling his tribe beneath their heels. Famiel realizes that Clive is none other than Sid the Outlaw, and reluctantly agrees to let him destroy the crystal, as there is no way to keep this place secret anymore. His only demand being that his people will not come to harm. As everyone stands back, Clive calls on the power of Ifrit to strike at the crystal, cleaving it in half in one fell swoop, destroying the heart and leaving the crystal to dissipate into thin air. With the core gone, the tower's systems begin to falter until they eventually shut down completely. Afterwards, the dusk shard in Famiel's hand disappears, along with any other remnant of the now destroyed crystal. With the lifeblood of his tribe now gone, Famiel expresses hope that they did the right thing. As they exit the tower, the door shuts behind them, and Clive wonders as to the fate of the beasts in the cages. Joshua believing that without the heart to sustain them, there is little chance that those still slumbering will stir now, if ever. Famiel wonders what he's going to tell the village elder, but says that if all else fails, he can always run away for a year or two, his knack for running having already gotten him this far. Clive asks whether his people will be alright, and Famiel assures him that they are a resilient bunch. Not that the rest of the realm will have it any easier now that they don't have any access to crystals. Famiel and his 2 lackeys bid the heroes farewell, while the heroes themselves head back to the hideaway to regale Karen and Hippocrates with their adventures. The two are amazed by their story, featuring not only a Mothercrystal of human creation, but an icon as well. The wonders of the fallen never ceasing to amaze. But as powerful as they were, even with Omega, an offspring with the fallen's boundless knowledge and unchecked ambition, Ultima nevertheless crushed them. A sobering thought for those who would now seek to oppose Ultima once more. Clive worries that even though the power he has been given might exceed that of the fallen, using it as they did might bring about the same result, making them share the fate of their fallen ancestors. There is, however, one thing that sets them apart. For while the fallen sought to create crystals, they seek to destroy them, reaffirming their desire not to be gods, but to be free. This being a lesson a long time in the making, a lesson brought about by the echoes of the fallen. Thanks for watching. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. I hope you liked our retelling of Final Fantasy XVI Echoes of the Fallen. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more complete story videos and stay tuned for The Rising Tide, the second piece of DLC for the game. As you can imagine, these videos are a lot of work, so if you like what we do and want to support the channel, again, please consider checking out our Patreon page. Like these amazing people. Look at how amazing they are. So amazing. But until next time, kaka! Instead, Hippocrates hypothesizes. Hippocrates hypothesizes. Hypothesis.